GeePawHill in the house. I want to start today with just a quickie update, and it has to do with this branch if methods not equal to null. We were able to eliminate some of those the other day, but then I made the rather bold claim that the function getDeclaredMethods is capable of returning null. It turns out that that's not true. Let me show you what I have right here. Remember our class that we dreamed up down below called noAnnotations, which has neither annotations nor methods? If I call this guy in the test to methods, and then I assert that the length is equal to 0, that should be okay. And I'm even going to take the sort of extra trick of running a for each against that array that would be empty at this point and see whether it runs. And I do the same thing down below for annotations because we do a lot of if annotations not equal to null too. So let's see what happens. Oh, sweet. It turns out using the null versus empty test, everything works just fine. That means I can cheerfully get rid of the if. And furthermore, anytime I call getAnnotations against a method or a class, I can also cheerfully delete the if annotations not equal to null. The part of this I want you to see is the fact that although I did in fact study the API docs, I didn't really need to once I had this test going. I used the test to do my thinking for me. That's a good thing because, Mama didn't raise no thinkers. So, with that out of the way, let's get back to our friend build annotation class validator configs. Wow, he is pretty simple. I want you to notice just one simple thing here before we go on, and that is we call process annotations, which is a private function, with a class at one point, and we call it later with a method at another point. But there are no other calls to process annotations anywhere in the system. That's important because of what we're going to do next. So looking at this right here is an issue for me. Process the annotations, but with an argument of type object, which we then test to see whether it's a class or it's a method. We do a little bit of preparatory work differently, and then we finally enter this big annotations segment. Here's the thing. We happen to know in the function that calls process annotations, we know precisely when O is an instance of class. And the same thing, we know precisely when O is an instance of method. I want to fix that. On my way to fixing it, though, I want to simplify my little puzzle a little bit so I don't have to think about anything. My belief is that this annotations loop, however long the annotations loop is, I believe that I can get rid of it out of here. So when I run the extract method, I look at list validator config result. Ooh, I didn't really want to pass result in. So it's very common to start a refactoring and then change your mind. What if I take this result and just move it down? Once again, I'm using my little rule of follow the data. One of the things you can do with data is just try to move declarations so that they're right there before their first use. Doing this is going to reveal all sorts of cool things to you. So now I'm going to repeat my extract method. Sure enough, I got rid of the result. I'm going to say process annotations array. It's not a great name, but I'm still in progress, so I'm going to leave it at that. Now, once I do this, this function becomes, just a lot easier for me to work with without having a lot of complications. I know just what I'm doing here. Somehow, I have to come to the end of process annotations with a field name, a method name, and an array of annotations. Now, what I'm seeing here is, remember that little fact we pointed out before? We actually know whether it's an instance of a class or an instance of a method up in the caller of this guy. The first thing to realize is that even though this looks like a pair of ifs which could possibly be used, they're not. It's more like this. That is to say, we happen to know that the guy is either an instance of class or an instance of method and nothing else. In fact, I can even do one more, like that. Doing so is a huge step forward. So let me just quickly run my test. I'm not filled with fear, okay, because the changes I made here are very simple and straightforward. Now I'm going to do something that might seem a little strange. I am going to create some duplication. I'm going to take the field name, the method name, and the annotations objects, and I'm going to put them first into this section and then into that section, and I'm going to kill their definitions outside. Of course, when I do this, guess what? I also have to make the call go to either place as well. I'll use Control-Alt to get a dupe of it, and then Alt-Up to go like that. Now let's take a look. I have no problems. What I've done here is I've completely isolated the part where I do a class from the part where I do a function. Now, looking at these isolated branches, I'm going to mess with them just a little bit here. First thing I notice here is I assign the field name null, and I use it without doing any manipulation other than null. I do the same thing with the method name. I can now lose these guys. Now, this is an interesting case. Annotations is equal to null. Annotations is equal to class.getAnnotations. So what I'm going to do here is I'll use my Alt down to bring it down a little closer. That's always a good idea. I'm going to get rid of the assignment from null, but I am going to say, when I'm done with that, go ahead and join the variable declarations. Why did I do all that? So that I could automatically Shift-Alt-I and inline that variable. Ooh, that's a lot simpler. I'm going to do roughly the same thing on the other branch. Hold on just a second. Now, as you can see, the branches have gotten very much simpler. All they consist of is a one-liner call to the process annotations array function. Now I'm going to do something might seem a little strange to some of you. I'm going to do this. Extract this into a method, and we'll call that method process a class. And I'll do the same thing here, only this time it's process method. We already knew process annotations is private, and there's only one caller, and that's our friend down here. So look what I can do here. Now that I have two different methods, one which specializes in processing classes, and one that specializes in processing methods, like so. Note, I don't have any red. I do have one little warning, which is, of course, this guy is no longer ever called anywhere. Wow, that was pretty significant refactoring. I am still very attracted to solving our process annotations array issue. Nevertheless, we've been working now for almost 20 minutes, maybe 25 minutes, and look how far we've come. The secret to our success? We try to avoid thinking. It's GeePawHill. Kids, drive safe. Peace.